everybody. I'm Angela Lahman. Welcome to this first offering I've ever done really on Facebook Live. I am super excited to share with you tonight about aroma freedom. This has been an amazing practice that I've gotten to learn over the last few years. I became a practitioner in 2017, and I'm going to be interrupted by my lovely assistant, who's also a swim lesson instructor.
It's mirrored.
It is mirrored. Because I switched it so we could see I made a step-by-step list tonight. Anyway, that's my lovely assistant, Elena. She's just in from her, the end of her summer job teaching swim lessons. So anyway, I started learning about aroma freedom in 2017. I was first introduced from Dr. Perkis, who is the originator of the Aroma Freedom Technique. You can actually follow his work in the Aroma Freedom Academy. That's a public Facebook group that you can join called the Aroma Freedom Academy. He wrote the book 4 years ago in 2016 and started to use this process with people who wanted to learn more about how to break through using essential oils for their emotional support. So I want to show you just kind of an evolution of how aroma freedom has been developed. And then we're going to jump into an actual session tonight. So in about 10 minutes, you're going to want to grab actually less than that, about 5 minutes, you're going to want to grab your lavender, stress away, and frankincense, all from Young Living, so that you can really kind of dive into this simple process that helps you release negative emotions or maybe transition or transform some of those negative emotions into something that's a little bit more productive for your life. So I'll zoom in on this. Those of you in my Aroma Freedom group have already seen this. I give Zoom presentations once a month, and this month it'll be on August 29th. So you can come and learn more about each of these, especially the Aroma Freedom part up here. But it starts with he puts this on a continuum to show the different ones, the past, present, and the future. So he started with aroma freedom here in the middle for when you're feeling like you're having stuck feelings in regards to goals that you've set or business achievement, things that you are trying to reach, and for whatever reason you can't get there. And then he started to realize that there were other ways that it can be used just by modifying the protocol just a smidge every time. So I'll just step over here to the side and show you that TMRT was one of the first practices that he taught to handle haunted memories from the past. If you're feeling triggered by something, in just a minute, you can use Aroma Clear to breathe in the essential oils and feel more clear about what you're facing. Aroma Reset is for those overwhelming feelings. So I don't know if anybody else is feeling overwhelmed right now in their present moment with all that they have to do with online school or supporting families going back to the classroom, or maybe you are a teacher working on some new techniques for teaching your students. But Aroma Reset may be a great practice for you. You can do it in about 5 minutes. Aroma Boost is for when you feel like you're procrastinating on something and not getting it done. So Aroma Boost takes about 15 minutes, and it's a great way to kind of reset your day and boost your energy level for an action forward. And then Aroma Freedom, of course, like I said earlier, is for when you're feeling stuck with a goal that you have and how to do that. And then today we're going to talk specifically about the Doomsday Technique. And this is when we're focused on our future and we feel worried. So I know I put in the description of this class tonight, and so I just want to talk for a minute about this. I put in the description of the class that we would learn just a little bit about the neuroscience. Dr. Perkis does a more thorough review of that in terms of how the brain works with aromas, and you can learn about that during the Aroma Freedom introduction on the 29th. However, it's important to note that when we feel worried about something that hasn't happened, we're putting into practice what our brain has been created to do, which is predict. Our brain predicts and it protects us from experiencing negative feelings again. Let me bring my notes up here so it's easier for me to read. So we worry because and this is something that separates us from other mammals, because we have our neocortex that really thinks about things and sort of deliberates about them. We predict them, like I said. In fact, there's a book that's entitled Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. I think that's really funny because as mammals, we don't share that in common with any other species. But when we look into the future and we don't like what we have to see, we anticipate the pain that it's going to cause. And that in and of itself can really limit us from living in the present and really feeling calm and fearless instead of really filled with fear and worry. The quote from Mark Twain, I love, Dr. Perkis has been sharing this as well. Mark Twain once said, "I've suffered a great many catastrophes in my life, and most of them never happened." So I laugh about Mark Twain only because we create circumstances or catastrophes in our heads that don't always come to fruition. And so it's important to kind of keep those in check between what is real and what is fiction. I also learned a little bit from Dr. Perkis already on what he calls the predictive brain. This is one of the most important things the brain does. For example, when an athlete, like a quarterback, is going to throw a pass to a wide receiver, he has to be able to gauge the distance and predict how much force he needs to throw the football with in order to hit his target in the end zone, of course, for a touchdown. We also know that if we pick something up and drop it, it's going to fall because we've experienced that, and we also know a little bit about the law of gravity. And also, our brain predicts based on ambiguity. So if I show you this picture, this is one of my favorite pictures for prediction. Do you see, and I'd love for you to write in the comments because that helps me know that you're following along with me tonight. Do you see an old woman or a young woman? What do you see when you look at this picture? What is your brain predicting that this is? Do you see an old woman or a young woman? If you can just comment back to me and let me know. I see some of you watching and following along. It would be great. It took me a while at the beginning to see the old woman when I first saw this picture. Jerry's kind of peeking in from the corner. So Jerry, what do you see?
I saw the old woman first.
The old woman first? Do you see the young woman now? Yeah. Okay. Our brain starts to fill in the gaps. Yep, that's right, Carly. A young woman with a large fur coat and a hood. Yep, exactly. And then the old woman, do you see her outline as well now that I've told you that she's in here? This is actually her chin instead of the young woman's neck. So if you haven't seen this particular photo before, it's one of my favorites to talk about perception and of course prediction. Our brain fills in the gaps for what we are looking at. So perhaps you only saw part of a face, and then you had to kind of fill in, okay, what's the hood, what's the necklace around her neck, what's the feather that's sticking up, or the stray hair out of the old woman. And so let me pull this up again, Carly, so you can have a chance to look. So these are her eyes. Let's see, this one, and this is her rather large nose, her mouth, and her chin. Does that help at all? You can look it up online. It's a young woman, old woman photo. It's super popular. It was a great one that I shared with my students back when I was teaching. So we'll bring that back in a second. So worry then is our prediction of the future. It's natural. It happens. We worry about the future, and therefore our brain protects us and keeps us in that sort of worried state. So I'm curious what it is that you are worried about as you come into this call tonight. What is it that and you don't have to share, but I would love, it helps me so much if you give comments. I'm used to Zoom where I can use chat and I can see your faces. And today I feel like I'm like a one-sided teacher tonight. So I'll take a little drink of water. You guys tell me, what are you worried about? What are some of the things that you're bringing with you, especially during these times? I was just speaking with a special ed teacher who stopped by for a minute about some of the changes that they've had to make at their school to accommodate student learning. That's worrisome. Is online school worrisome to you? Is something related to COVID worrisome to you? Are you feeling worried about what are you worried about? Thanks, Musette. Not being successful. We worry about what our success is going to look like. Some people are worried about jobs right now and having enough to make ends meet, since things have been really tight and a lot of families have faced job loss. So we worry about the future in that regard. What else are you worried about tonight? Just go ahead and type it in. What my career is going to look like, the future, my current financial situation, being misunderstood. Thanks, Renee. Yeah. These are times too, I feel like social media, right? We're really dealing with some tense communication, to say it politely. And I'm really interested in helping us sort of take those worries and concerns and not erase them, but let's reframe them with our essential oils and our emotions tonight. That's a lot, Michelle. You've got homeschool 100% of the time and you're working, so it's a lot to manage. Thanks for being on the call tonight. Finances are a big thing. Yep. These are all things I think a lot of people are facing right now, unfortunately, due to the current circumstances. I think worrying about the future is only natural. I would just offer a bit of encouragement to you as you get started tonight. Those worries are completely understandable. There's no judgment here. When a worry comes into your mind, that is a truly real emotion and real feeling for you. And so I want to just affirm that for you in your predictive brain, kind of what's going on and how to move from depressed and worried, because sometimes that can leave us feeling helpless, to a place where we feel joy and more creative energy. Would that be okay with anyone? Would you like to experience more joy and creative energy right now? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to picture an upsetting future. So I meant to grab something to block the rest of the steps. So we're going to go step by step. So I'll bring my cheat sheet over here with me so you can follow along, but I did not grab the cover that I wanted for the bottom of it. So the first thing I want you to do, I'll move to the side, is picture the upsetting future. What is the upsetting future that you picture in your mind's eye? And just bring it to mind. And probably a lot of you can picture it clear as day. So just bring it to mind. Picture it in your mind. And then number 2, I want you to rate the intensity of the image. From 0, meaning no feeling, to 10 being truly and utterly terrified. So rate the intensity of the image based on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being no real feeling associated with it, or no real intensity of it, to 10 being truly terrified. Now, if you don't already have your oils, you want to make sure you've got Young Living Stress Away, frankincense, and lavender at least. And then you're going to need one. I should have told you this prior to getting started with the process. Sorry. Lavender, Stress Away, frankincense, and then you want to grab one uplifting oil, maybe a citrus oil, maybe Believe or Transformation, or a couple of others that people enjoy a lot. Okay. Next, after you've rated the intensity of the image, would you put your number in the chat for me, just so I can see kind of where you're starting? How intense is the fear that you have, or the worry that you have, or how intense is the upsetting future to you? I'd love to just see that on a scale of 0 to 10 in the chat. Thanks for being willing to risk tonight. It's good to have you on for this class. Yeah. Thanks, Musette. Yeah. 7 to 8. It's an intense feeling. And if you really kind of nail it in there, yeah, number 7 or an 8, like just hold on to it. Let it, be aware of that for sure. Then the third step is to determine how it is you feel when you picture that negative, when you picture that upsetting future. So what is it that you feel when you picture the upsetting future? Now, this is a really important distinction. This isn't like, I feel like it's never going to change. You can't feel like something. I want you to choose a feeling word. And most of us are familiar with happy and sad and mad, but maybe yours is worry or anxiety, or I feel anxious. That would be the word. Anxious. I feel worry. I feel terror. I feel dread of the future. How can you pinpoint? Can you pinpoint the word that describes how you feel when you picture that future, that upsetting future? Yeah, scared. And after you've drawn in and kind of paid attention to how you feel when you picture that upsetting future, the next thing you're going to do is identify where you feel that feeling in your body. So kind of get a good sense. You might have to close your eyes and kind of tune out distractions for a second. But kind of get a feeling is, where are you holding that anxiety or that feeling of worry or that feeling of dread or that feeling of terror or that feeling of scared or sadness? Where are you holding it? Sometimes people notice it in their posture or in their shoulders. Sometimes it's in their head or in their throat or heart. Where are you holding on to that for yourself? Pinpoint where it is in your body. And the next thing you're going to do is to determine what is the negative thought that goes with that feeling. I think I have that too low for you to see it, but what is the negative thought that goes with the feeling? So for example, a negative thought may be about I'm never going to find a new job. I won't have enough money to pay my bills at the end of the month. I'm not going to be able to get through this in one piece. What's the negative thought you think to yourself? The next thing you're going to do is we're going to breathe the oils. So after you've chosen the negative thought that goes with the feeling, you're going to take equal parts of Young Living's lavender, stress away, and frankincense. If you do Aroma Freedom with me often, you know that I used an old lavender bottle and poured equal parts into an old lavender bottle. It looks pretty ratty now, but I put an aroma fitment on the top. So then it's really easy to roll it in. Rub it together in your hands, whether you've just put one drop each of lavender, stress away, and frankincense. And you can cup your hands over your nose and mouth and just take a couple minutes to just breathe it in. Breathe it into the upsetting future, the negative thought, the feeling, where you feel it in your body. And just breathe it in, allowing the oils to breathe into your nose and mouth, into your whole being. You can close your eyes if you feel distracted. But what I want you to do while you're breathing the oils in is notice any changes that take place. Notice the intensity shifting, the feeling shifting, where you feel it in your body, maybe the negative thought even changing. What are you noticing? You can write that in the chat as you breathe in the oil blend. And when you feel like you've completed the transformation between in that negative thought, or you've shifted or noticed a change in some part of your body, I see Catherine texted in, stomach feels more calm now. Thank you for that. Felt myself sitting up straighter with my shoulders back, so your posture changed. Thanks for that, Musette. So now go back to our step 2, because this can just go in rotation right here. And you're going to rate your intensity again. Rate the intensity of that upsetting future on a scale from 0 to 10. And if you were at a 7 or 8 before, what are you at now after the first round of the Doomsday Protocol? How would you rate the intensity of the image? Did you find that the number went down? If you'll give me a little feedback in the chat, then I can know that we're ready to move to the next phase. Those of you who are joining from Living Well Now, this is our Wind Down Wednesday event. So we're really glad that you're here. We're moving down 5 and 6. So already you're starting to notice a lessening of the intensity. I love that. So now, when you picture the upsetting image, is there another feeling that comes to mind? Has that initial feeling shifted or changed into a different feeling? What would you say your feeling about it is now in terms of the upsetting image? How do you feel when you picture it? Maybe it's the same feeling, but maybe it's shifted a little bit and it's really unlocked some anger that you feel, or some grief that you feel, or some deep sadness? What is it that you feel, and where do you feel it in your body? And then after you've determined that, what is the negative thought that goes with that feeling then? What is the negative thought that goes with that feeling? And maybe it's a similar thought to what you had the first time, but maybe it's a different negative thought. Now I'm feeling more upset, Renee says, and feeling it in her stomach. Yep. So what's the negative thought that goes along with that? Maybe the first one seemed like the end of the world, and maybe this one just feels discouraged. Like, I'm just discouraged, and I'm just super upset about it. Or maybe you're starting to make those shifts. Thank you for sharing that, Catherine. Sometimes after just one round of this, people can start to feel more optimistic and realize that they have more clarity now, for sure. But for those of you who haven't fully cleared sort of the pain associated with and the emotional hurt associated with that upsetting image, let's go back and bring all of those things together, and that overwhelm, maybe a little bit, maybe some questioning, maybe some doubt, maybe some curiosity. Good. Yeah, bring all of that to mind. Use your oils again, Stress Away Lavender and Frankincense. You could also pull out Inner Child as one that we use during Aroma Freedom for this round. Rub it together in your palms, cup your hands over your nose and mouth, and just take a minute to breathe in deeply. Allow the oils to do the heavy lifting while you think about the negative thought, that feeling, where you feel it in your body, and that upsetting future. Start to notice any changes that are occurring for you, any shifts, any insights. And go back to rate your intensity again on a scale from 0 to 10. And after 1 or 2 or 3 rounds of this, you may start to find that your number diminishes even further until you've come to a place where you are in touch with that inner guidance again, or in my Christian belief, God, God's voice that's within you. Sometimes we get so distracted by the noise of the world. Thank you for sharing that, Musette. It sounds like some tears have fallen for you tonight, and you're starting to feel a little more hopeful. And so hopefully in that hope and in that open space, right, we opened up either the emotional well or the heart well, so that we could more intently or intentionally listen for that divine guidance or God's voice in the midst of all the clamor of the world. I love how powerful this mixture is, and this process of just helping us kind of realign with our truth. Thanks for that feedback. You may have discovered as you were going through this about something in the future that it reminded you of something in your past. And so I would just direct you to an Aroma Freedom session. If you're already in my group, there are plenty of ones that recorded there. My next public session will be August 29th, so you can tune in for that instead. But it is good to hear and see that you're coming down a little bit from those high 8s and 7s down to 5s and now 4s, feeling more calm. And this is a practice that you can do daily as you choose. If something starts to kind of get you down, or you wake up feeling sort of the heaviness of the world or that depressive feeling, or you're just not feeling yourself, you can use this protocol by picturing that upsetting future, rating it, being aware of the feelings that you're having about it, where you're feeling those in your body, that negative thought associated with the feeling, and then use your oils to sort of change and notice those shifts for yourself. But I'm not going to leave you hanging there. I went to one of the coolest parts that Dr. Perkis teaches with Aroma Freedom, I think, is the affirmation stage. So with every other protocol, the Doomsday Protocol is no different. And the affirmation stage is about receiving guidance and developing an affirmation or a positive present tense statement that's going to help lead you forward into the future. So into like your actual future, into your present moment, I guess I should say. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to choose a different oil. Citrus is really uplifting. Believe tends to be a favorite. Valor is sometimes a favorite for this one. I'm going to pull out Transformation because I use that at the end of my Aroma Freedom sessions, and that tends to kind of ground me in a transition and transformative sort of way. But what I want you to do is, depending on the messaging that you received during your clearing, right, during the protocol, I'm curious if you just had guidance to that I'm hopeful. Maybe that's your affirmation for today. I feel hopeful. I am hopeful. Or I create my peace. Or maybe there's an affirmation that really speaks to God is in control. And there's just a reminder that you need to give yourself, a mantra. I'm also going to allow for people who may have received a message of action. Maybe you were called during that session, during the session of releasing some of the intensity of the future prediction. Maybe you were called to do something a little bit more active, and so you were given some sort of message to actually create a task or do a task in order to bring about more peace for yourself or for the world. So if you do have a task in mind, if you do have an actual thing that you are going to go do, Dr. Perkins calls this the super affirmation. He developed it during the Aroma Boost, and one of the things he mentions in the Aroma Boost is he says, or in the super affirmation, is to set it up this way. I feel, and then name a positive feeling in my, and then name a body part, as I, and then the next part is whatever the task is. So for example, I feel joy in my heart as I reach out to my neighbors with an act of goodwill. Or I feel confident in my job search as I seek interviews. Or maybe it's something like I feel hopeful. To take Musette's word, I feel hopeful, and I feel hopeful in my shoulders, in my posture, as I look to the future. And so you determine what that feels like and seems like to you. All right. And so then you can take your oil, whatever your affirmation ended up being, if it was a super affirmation or if it was just a phrase that you're going to hold on to. Use your next oil in your palm, kind of put it onto your body. And then there are 3 different power poses that are most commonly used during Aroma Freedom. One is with your arms outstretched above your head. I think I'm going to have to step back just a smidge. So I'll move my teaching easel tonight. So one is with your arms stretched out above your head. Super affirmation, kind of receiving pose here. You could also do a power pose with your hands on your hips. Or, my dog needs a super affirmation, I think. Kudo, come here. Come here. He's going to do an affirmation with us, I think. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Or you can put your hands clasped in front of your heart in a prayer pose. Everybody say hi to Kudo. Hello. Kudo wanted a little attention he's not getting, so he wants to be included in all the things. So a power pose actually helps you anchor in your affirmation. So I'm gonna remain quiet for a minute while you say your affirmation out loud 4 or 5 times with confidence, with power, with intention, and with grace. Hopefully tonight's session has brought about a peace of mind for you, has given you a renewed sense of purpose and hope, and has also brought you back to the present moment. Just like we talked about at the very beginning, our minds can be cluttered by distractions of the world. And so when we clear those out with our essential oils and use them in a particular protocol, like we experienced tonight with the Doomsday Protocol, you can experience great healing and transformation. May that be your blessing as well. Thanks again in advance for being on this live event tonight. The recording will be posted in just a few minutes because Facebook will process it and make it available to you. I welcome you to share it if you choose to with others who could benefit from from sometimes the most paralyzing worries that don't allow us to move forward. Have an amazing evening, everyone.